Rev up your engines!
Arriva 10 says, "Hey Scotty, did you hear anything about those tires that don't have air and that Michelin and GM are working on? They're working on them and supposed to put them in the Chevy Volt. Michelin already has these airless tires that have no air in them. They sell them for little four-wheel jobs that people drive in the woods. But they're $840 a piece, so they're super expensive. And personally, it sounds kind of crazy. When you're driving down the road, your tires actually absorb more of the shocks than your shock absorbers do. If you got an open tire like those that have ribs but no air in them, I don't think they'll absorb the shock all that well. They won't ride that well, and they look goofy as heck. So I really can't see that coming to the forefront. If you're going to have to spend 8 times as much for the tires and spend almost $3,500 buying 4 tires, I don't see that as passing unless they radically change things. John Seeker says, "Is it cheaper to change oil myself instead of taking it to the shop?" Well, of course it is, unless you're going to a really crappy shop that sells really junky oil. They're buying things in mass. Now, if I buy a good oil filter, I buy an oil filter, I like the premium ones. But I don't go to a discount auto parts store where they want 10, 12 bucks. I buy them online for like $6 a piece. Now, I know a guy who runs an oil change place. He pays 50 cents a piece for his oil filters, but they're the cheapest junk he can get his hands on. If you want a lower quality filter and the cheapest oil, like a bulk oil, it might actually be cheaper going to those guys. But if you want quality oil with a quality oil filter, buy it yourself, know what you're getting, and do it. Because if you go to an oil change place and you say, "I want this quality filter and this quality oil," you're going to pay through the nose for it. That's just how it goes. Whale Salad says, "Do you think an E46 BMW will be valuable in the future?" Not really. They're not collector cars. They're mass-produced cars still. They're not hand-built cars. They're mass-produced cars. All mass-produced. Anything you own, they're generally never worth all that much money. I'll give you a perfect analogy. Let's say you get a Union soldier pistol from the Civil War. That was a long time ago. It's not going to be worth more than a few $100 generally. But if you got a Confederate officer's pistol, they're worth a fortune because there's hardly any of them left. They didn't make that many. If you buy a car, they only made a handful of them. Odds are in the future, if it still runs, it can be worth some serious money if it's a collector's item. Mass-produced ones? Not so. Some of the M BMWs keep their value to a certain extent, but they cost so much money in the first place, you generally never even recoup the original price. It might stay up in value, but it's not going to be 2-3 times what it was originally. I don't see that in those cars. Shitty's Dosage says, "Hey Scotty, I'm in a debate between a 97 Lexus ES300, 137,000 miles for $1,700, or an Infiniti Q4, 114,000 miles for $1,400. I know the Lexus is more reliable, but the Infiniti is 4-wheel drive." You get that Lexus, man. Don't even think about a 4-wheel drive Infiniti. Even if it was 2-wheel drive, those things are endless money pits as they age. That's just how those things are. With the Lexuses aren't. And you're talking an ES300. That's the 6-cylinder. Those things can run forever with very little maintenance. Don't even think about buying it. Personally, myself, I wouldn't buy a 4-wheel drive Lexus either. The 4-wheel drive systems, as they age, they're complex, cost a lot of money to fix, and those things go great in the snow with a 2-wheel drive. They're well designed. P says, "My vehicle runs rough after it's warmed up. Please help. 92 Mazda MPV, 3-liter 4-wheel drive. The car runs pretty good when it's cold, but once it warms up, it starts running rough. Generally, it means the vehicle is getting too much fuel. It's running rich. Cold engine needs extra fuel to start up and run. That's just how it is. Just like first thing in the morning, you might need a strong cup of coffee to get going. But if you keep drinking coffee all day long, you're going to get the jitters. Well, if your car, once it warms up, gets too much fuel, as it's warmed up, it'll get the jitters and start shuddering and won't run right. Can be leaking fuel injectors, having pressure clean, could be a bad fuel pressure regulator. The other way, it could be running lean. They normally don't go that way, but if it is, pull out a spark plug and it's white. Could be as simple as your fuel pump starting to go out. And once it warms up, it can't pump enough fuel because it's an electric pump, and if it's old and it gets hot, it can stop pumping the right amount of fuel. You could pressure test that too. Starting with nothing. Hey, we all start with nothing. Hey Scotty, my 2001 Volvo V70 is grinding noise coming from the engine. Any idea what it is? Do this and pray. Take all the fan belts off. Start it up. Didn't hurt anything, just sitting there for a minute running. If the noise goes away, great. You know it's something the belts drive, like the alternator's going bad or the water pump. Then spin the pulleys till you hear the noise and replace that. Pray it's that, because if you take all that stuff off and it still makes the noise, it's internal engine grinding, and on those, any problem like that's going to cost a fortune to fix, to tear those Volvo engines apart. So pray it goes away when you take the fan belts off. Joel Osteen. My car is 23 years old. Should I be afraid of the airbags? I would. It's a little explosive device that just sits there. And here is the real kicker. You go back decades ago, when they first really came out with airbags, it always told we mechanics and all the data systems, every 10 years, replace the airbag module. You were supposed to take the old one out and dispose of it and put a new one in. They don't say that anymore. Now, I have no idea. Did they radically change the way they make them? Or did they just decide, that's an expensive thing, and maybe people will sue us and say, hey, they should last longer, so we don't tell them to change them every 10 years. I don't know. If there's an engineer out there who knows, hey, please tell me or tell the world, put it on my website, ScottyKilmer.com, and say, here's the truth behind airbags, why they used to tell you had to change the modules every 10 years, and now they don't. But I wouldn't trust them at that age, but really, I trust seat belts. Snap, click, you're in there. Race cars have seat belts. They don't have airbags. They do work if you use them. Professor Tripp says, Scotty, I got a 2000 Accord. The other day I was driving, I looked at the dash, and the digital odometer was only showing parts of each digit. I hit a bump and it fixed itself. Suggestions? Okay, well, take the dash apart. Very easy. It's just a few screws and the whole stupid thing pops out, and there's a bunch of clips you take off and get the wiring. Look to see if there's any corrosion in there and see if any of the wires have come loose. If not, that means the dash is just breaking down, and that's typical on Hondas. I see it all the time. The stupid pixels on those things, they're all computerized. Over time, they break down, and then they start getting partial readouts, and those dashes are so freaking expensive. If it really lost a lot, go to a junkyard, try a used one. I can usually talk them into selling me one for 50, 60 bucks, and you just put a used dash in. Doyle Hargraves. Scotty, what's your favorite alcoholic beverage to consume prior to your rants? Nothing really. I drink water most of the time. I'm 65. My serious drinking days are way behind me, I'm not, every once in a while, I like having a beer, margarita, I like rum, have a glass of rum or something every once in a while, but as you get older, you don't need that stuff anymore, When I was really young going to college, everybody smoked pot. Now they're legalizing it, place. I haven't done that thing in years. I don't have any interest in that stuff anymore. You get older, your brain becomes wiser. Some people, they don't get older because their brains didn't get wiser, so. But we got anything else? Moderation? All right, what the heck? Nothing wrong with that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.